Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episodes 34 and 35 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. And so yeah, we only have 2 episodes to go after this. Or no, 3 episodes, sorry, which we will be doing all in one video. So we are going to be finishing off this series, this part of JoJo, very soon. And that's both exciting and sad. Because who knows how many years we'll have to wait until the next part. Which I still very much presume David Productions will do. I just really hope they don't do it on Netflix anymore. That was such a massive mistake. It hurt this series just insanely much, so. That was terrible grammar. I don't even give a shit. But yeah, it very much hurt this series by releasing it that way. And I really hope that they just go back to their normal releasing for the next parts. I believe Steel Ball Run is the next one. Also, fun fact, JoJo Lands just recently started, I believe. Either that or a preview was shown, like a couple preview pages. But there's already 2 new characters known about. And I have seen what they look like. I do know like one thing about one of them. Only because it's kind of been everywhere, and especially in the circles that I tread. For anyone who doesn't want to know, I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but there is an interest factor there. But obviously it would be a very long time until we would get to that, because that's part 9. That's just started. We still have parts 7 and 8 to go through. So yeah, just, I do know about that. In case anyone else knows about it, knows exactly what I'm talking about. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah. This third batch of episodes has been pretty damn good so far. Like, the second batch, you guys know, kind of went to shit for me. But this third batch has been pretty good. And I'm very excited to see what more they do. Now, I've heard that the change to the new opening only happens in the final episode. So it's only the one episode that gets that change. So we're going to have to wait till that. But I usually watch the opening every time anyway. Just because I really like the opening. So we'll definitely see it. The only difference here is that with doing multiple episodes here, I usually would watch the opening in the first one and not in the second one. So for the next video, since we're going to be doing 3 episodes, we'll probably only watch the opening in the third video, in the third episode. Which is a little weird, but it's what we would do instead of the first one. So yeah. But where we left off, the world is kind of turning on its side. Well, not literally, it's more that gravity is being shut off, which makes it feel like the world's being turned on its side, but that's just how it naturally is. But gravity stops us from acknowledging and realizing that. And so Hermes has fallen. She's just kind of fallen down, and Jolene wasn't able to get to her in time. There's these 2 other girls that Jolene refuses to help, which bothered me. Probably more than it should have. Oh, and also, by the way, Weather Report is dead. That's a thing to, I guess, kind of talk about, which sucks. Yeah, he deserved a better ending, but at least his ending was not as fucking stupid as FF's. I don't think I touched on this last time, so I'm going to touch on this here. You guys know I did not like how FF went out. having her kill stolen and everything, and kind of going, or having their kill stolen and everything, and kind of going out like a bitch, just being made to look absolutely weak and pathetic. It's kind of the opposite with Weather. Like, he didn't win his fight by any means, which does suck, but he was never going to. He was fighting the main villain. FF had multiple chances to win fights, and they didn't. In fact, their wins were stolen, most notably by Anasui. And they were also just made to look pretty pathetic at the end. Weather was made to look actually pretty strong and pretty impressive at the end. Like, again, he didn't win the fight, but he really shined. And he went out like a badass. Like, he truly got to go out in a good way. And it just really makes me hate FF's death even more. I really do not like how Araki resolved that. Like, a sudden death and a death that doesn't feel as earned can be good if done right. It was not done right with FF. It just felt like a slap in the face. So at least Weather got a good way to go out. I will give that. But Hermes better be alive. Because if that was how Hermes dies, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Hermes is my favorite character in this part, okay? She better not go out like that. That would be fucking stupid. I would hate that. I would hate that more than FF's death, honestly. That would be the dumbest way to go out. Especially for, like, kind of the main JoBro. Like, every part has, like, different JoBros in it, and in this part, Hermes is kind of the main one. Like, the ride or die, second in command type of character. Like, you have, like, Speedwagon in part 1, or Caesar in part 2. Just the main JoBro. I guess in part 3, considering there's so many of them, I guess I would count Joseph as the main JoBro. Even though he's just a former JoJo at that part. But since Jotaro's the main JoJo, Joseph would be technically the main JoBro. So yeah, I would count that. And in part 4, obviously, you have Okuyasu. You think it's going to be Koichi at the beginning, but no, it's Okuyasu. And part 5 is Bruno, obviously. So in this one, it's Hermes. And it's like, that would be a really fucking stupid way for Hermes to go out. I'm sorry, it just really would. But we're facing a new enemy, and it's like, this is an interesting enemy to face, because can they do anything more besides turning gravity off? There's got to be more to it than that, right? And what's the range on this ability? I don't know. I have no way to know, I feel. But we'll see. We'll see. So, we're just going to get this started. Since we do have 2 episodes to get through here, we're going to get this started and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. There's quite a bit to talk about here. But I think I'm going to focus only on a few specific things that I really want to touch on from these episodes. And just the fact that we only have 3 more episodes to go, which is going to be in one video. And that's where it's going to finish off. So, first off, because it's freshest on my mind, let's talk about the comparisons I made at the end of the reaction between Poochie's stand and Koichi's echoes. So, in part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, Koichi gets a stand when Keicho Nichimura hits him with a stand arrow. It starts off as an egg, but soon hatches into Echo's Act 1. Act 1, and Echo's very much has a design basis in, like, Cell from Dragon Ball. Like, it's very clear. Just as clear as Miriam from Hunter x Hunter is inspired by Cell. But here you actually get to see the stages as well. Act 1 is like imperfect Cell. It's a lot more bug-like, I guess you could say. Almost a little lizard-like as well. And very clearly not meant to be its full form. Act 2 is a little more evolved, a little more progressed. You can see how it's started to take more of a form, more of a humanoid form, even. And then Act 3 is much, much more human-like. Act 3 has more of a human design, can speak and everything. So here we kind of get the same thing with Poochie's stand. It seems like we're getting 3 different stages to his stand. And that's really fascinating to me. And let me just check something real quick. Just while it's on my mind, I just want to make sure on something. Because it's like, I don't think we've had this before. Like, I don't think this has been a thing with a previous villain. Because since stands were introduced, so we have to count starting in part 3, we had Dio with the world. It's pretty standard. It was just one thing. We had Yoshikage Kira, who had Killer Queen. And Killer Queen didn't evolve, per se. Kira got stronger. And he gained a new ability. He gained a single new ability, but the stand itself didn't really evolve. And then in part 5, we had Diavolo, and his stand didn't evolve. In fact, it was actually Giorno's stand that evolved by getting the Requiem mode. Well, and Polnareff's, you could say, as well. And now we have Poochie, and instead he has a stand that is continuously evolving. We start with Whitesnake, has the ability to extract discs from people based on their memory, their stand, and probably plenty of other things as well. That's just the main 2 that we tend to see. He can extract this stuff from people, and that's pretty much the extent of his powers. But it does, affect the people he does that on. We then see that it fuses with the Green Baby to become Sea Moon. It's technically the same stand, but it's evolved. It's gone on to a different stage. Sea Moon has a completely different ability, too. It doesn't carry on the abilities of either Whitesnake or the Green Baby. Instead, it gains its own ability, a control over gravity. And a complete control over gravity. Not just like the gravity of the Earth, but all gravity at all points. And that's really fascinating with the different ways that can be utilized as we see in this. But now, his goal was for his stand to reach its final form. To evolve completely, which it hadn't done yet. Sea Moon was not the final stage of this. So what is? What is the final stage of his stand? Where is that going to go? It seems like we're about to find out. So the fact that his stand ends up having 3 different forms, 3 different stages, is exceptionally fascinating to me. And on top of that, I mentioned in the reaction that he's just a fascinating character to me. Because let's compare him to the other villains. Dio's just fucking evil. The Pillar Men are, well, except for Wamu, are just kind of fucking evil. Yoshikage Kira, because then we had Dio again after that, but Yoshikage Kira is just a sociopathic serial killer with a lust for hands because he's a weirdo. Diavolo is a psychopath with a split personality. Doppio is a good boy. We like Doppio. He's being manipulated by the other personality, by Diavolo, but still, Diavolo, the actual main villain, is just kind of evil. Like, there's not really any reason for it. And now we get a villain who is more complex, more nuanced. Poochie, he's definitely a bad guy. He's definitely doing evil things, but he genuinely believes that this will help humanity. He genuinely believes that he's trying to make a better world for all of human life. Like, he said that in these episodes. And he doesn't see himself as the bad guy at all, nor does he see Dio as a bad guy. That's an entire different can of worms, though. He sees himself as the hero in this story. And he sees it as that the ones trying to stop him are the bad guys, which is really fascinating. But it's also something that I feel like a lot of people, a lot of villains see themselves as. Very, very rarely do villains acknowledge that they're the bad guys. Even villains who are clearly just doing bad shit, it's like they rationalize it in their heads to where it's like, oh, I'm just doing what I deserve. Like, I deserve this. The ones who are trying to stop me are the real bad guys. Or in the case of Light Yagami from Death Note, it's like, I'm just trying to help the world. This is just going to be better for everyone. Which is kind of what Poochie's doing here. It's like, except Poochie's like, oh, a few sacrifices. It's like, that's just casualties for the cause. While Light's like, let's just kill everyone, and that just makes things better. Light was a little more aggressive about that, I feel. just saying. Light was just a little more aggressive about that. But it makes Poochie such a fascinating villain. Because it's, again, he's clearly the bad guy, he's clearly in the wrong, he's clearly committing evil, but not from his perspective. He's genuinely wanting to help humanity. He genuinely believes that reaching heaven like this will do that. You could kind of maybe say he's deluded in that, but you have to acknowledge that he genuinely is trying to help. And you can't say that about so many other villains. Not just in JoJo, but in anything, really. Even the villains who think that they're who think that they're okay to do what they're doing, who think that they're in the right, are not usually, like, how would I put it, like, altruistic? Altruistic's probably the wrong word. Are not usually, like, this nice about it. And again, this is not counting his backstory, his sympathetic backstory and everything. Like, that's not even a part of it. That's not, it's just the motivations that he has. Like, he genuinely has a love for humanity. And he genuinely wants to help humanity. The way he's going about it is just unquestionably wrong, but he feels that it's the ends justify the means, basically. And that's wild to me. He's so different from the other villains in this series. And that's really cool, honestly, to see how different that is. And I'm very interested to see what the final stage of his stand ends up being. Because we got White Snake, we got Sea Moon, and what's next? I'm genuinely very curious about that. But moving on to the next thing I want to talk about. Jolene's way of stopping Sea Moon's ability. I'm too dumb for this. You know, I never claim to be a smart girl. I am very open with the fact that I'm terrible at math, which in a lot of ways does extend into science. This entire Mobius strip thing, the infinity symbol and everything, it's like, I feel like this is too big brain for me. Like, they tried to explain it as well, like what it was and the details about it. It's like, I feel like I'm missing so much here. I don't understand. I feel like I'm just like watching this. I'm just like, my brain is frying like bacon on a pan. It's like, what the fuck? I don't understand. I just don't get it. But it works, I guess. Also, I'm still hung up on the fact that when he punched her, it like right here, it's like right here. Somehow that affects her heart. That's not where the heart is. The heart is not right here. Like, what? How would that affect her heart? I don't know. I don't know. I'm so confused. But yeah. So she apparently used that to stop Sea Moon's ability from just working. But also it was like slowly, you know, fixing her up and everything too. We see that it seems to affect her like her chest region where like the hit against her, I guess, heart was. But it seemed to fix other parts like her head and neck and stuff a lot quicker. I wonder if the damage there would have just been a lot worse, and so it's just taking longer to fix. That's probably the case. But we see Anasui try to fight back against Pucci as well, and just failing spectacularly. Like, why is Anasui here? Like, what valid usefulness has he had? He's annoying as sin. He's a piece of shit, honestly. He stole FF's victory from the old dragon dude, whose name I can't remember. And honestly, he's just been a nuisance. Like, does anyone like Anasui? I'm sure someone's a fan of him. Like, I'm sure there's fans of every character you can think of. Like, for some fucking reason, there's fans of Mineta in My Hero Academia. Those people I don't trust, but they do exist. I just don't understand how anyone could find Anasui likable enough to be a fan of his. Unless, like, some people just like him because he's such a shitbag. Maybe some people just really like those kind of characters. I don't know. But he's like, I just don't like you at all. Like, I like Abakio in Part 5 more than I like him. And I didn't like Abakio that much. Luckily, Part 5 also had Narancia, and Narancia is best boy. He is baby. He deserves his margarita pizza. I'm still salty about that. I'm not upset at his death, though, because honestly, I saw it coming. And it was actually a way to do a very sudden death really well. They did... It was executed well. Araki did good on that. I'm still salty about it because he was best boy and everything. Like, see that blush up there? Signed by his English voice actor. I think that, think that tells you what you need to know. A little further. There you go. But yeah, in all seriousness, it's like, what use does he have? He didn't even do anything here. Like it makes you think at like one point that, oh, he's gonna actually have the upper hand, but nope, just nope. He's just useless. It's just a waste of time. Okay, why is he here again? I don't get the appeal in him. Also, his design is just a ripoff of Diavolo. Like, so blatantly. Like, come on, Araki, you're better than this. You're good at designing characters. You're really fucking good at designing characters. It's kind of one of JoJo's biggest appeals. Your designs are amazing. Why is Anasui just a Diavolo clone? That's so lame. I believe Anasui was originally designed as a girl, but even so, it's like, I think I've seen like the initial kind of designs, and it's like the only real difference was short hair and, you know, a more stereotypically feminine figure. Still very much looked like Diavolo. And it's like, why? You could have done so much different. You could have, like, long hair isn't even the issue. It's not the issue. It's just, he looks so much like Diavolo. It's insane. It's just like, you're better than this, Araki. You're a crazy son of a bitch, but you're better than this. I'm irritated. I'm irritated by that. But even with Anasui being a complete worthless piece of shit, at least we got the return of Hermes and Daddy Jotaro. That was such a cool moment. Like I was actually geeking out. Like, I expected it to happen. Like, I expected that Jotaro would be better by the time of the final fight, that he would be able to join in. And I really did not think Hermes was dead. Honestly, I thought that, like I said, that would have been an absolutely stupid death. It would have been so fucking dumb. And it's just, I just didn't believe it. So I expected her to be back as well. Not necessarily with Jotaro, but, I mean, hey, if it works, it works. So both of them coming in together and everything was just really badass and cool. It's like my favorite Part 6 character. And Jotaro, like, you know, just the depth and meaning behind that with this series is, like, great. So, yeah. That was just really exciting. And just, especially, like, the reintroduction to Jotaro being the world is like, oh, that's so good. That's such a good decision. I love it so much. Especially because he named the ability after Dio's stand, and Dio is, you know, Father Pucci's senpai. So, yeah, that makes it extra fitting and deliciously ironic that he returns by using the world to help fight Pucci, Dio's latest disciple. I can't say final disciple because we don't know that. Dio has had his hands in everything, so we don't know. But it's like, it's so wild. It's so wild and weird. And I'm blown away. I'm blown away by just so much about this. These past episodes have been phenomenal. Some of Part 6 is best by far. The writing, the tension, the character work, it's like Araki really just went off on this part. And that doesn't make the middle section of this series any better. Like, that is still, it does still hurt the series overall. But I have to say that this has been a fantastic third batch of episodes. And we've only got 3 more. We've only got 3 more episodes, and then it's over. And I think I'm definitely going to have to see how this ends before I can truly decide where I place part 6 in my rankings. Because it's kind of fighting with Diamond is Unbreakable right now. Or not Diamond is Unbreakable, Vento Arreo, Golden Wind. It's either going to be number 2 or 3. It's not beating Diamond is Unbreakable for me. I can say that with pretty much certainty. Diamond is Unbreakable is still my favorite part by far. I still like Yoshikage Kira as a villain more than I like Pucci. I honestly, I still like Josuke as the main JoJo better than I like Jolene. And I do like Jolene. Honestly, I would say she's my second favorite JoJo. But I still like Josuke more. And I just overall like part 4 more than part 6. I don't think the last 3 episodes are going to change that to that much of a degree. But it's fighting with part 5 for me, because part 5 was my second favorite part. And I acknowledge part 5's issues that, honestly, if those issues weren't in there, it would have probably been either a lot closer or even possibly beat out part 4. If those issues were fixed in a good enough way. But, yeah, this is either going to be right above or right under part 5 for me. And it just depends on how it ends. So, we'll find out next time on that. So, yeah. It seems like we're about to get the final stage of Pucci's stand. I'm very interested to see what we get with that. Because right now, Pucci was surrounded. He's now flying up in the rocket ship like he's a little Einstein's character or something. And he's about to evolve one last time. It's like a 3-stage Pokemon evolution. He's about to turn from a Tinkatuff into a Tinkaton. And yes, that is the example I use. Deal with it. Tinkaton is my favorite new Pokemon from Gen 9. Deal with it. But yeah. So I'm very, very interested to see how this closes. And to see especially what new abilities his stand gets once it evolves for the final time. So, we'll find out next time. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts on these episodes down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.